So hello there, welcome to Damien's Trains and Travels multiple video, and this is a review on two cars that were in the last Summer Wine TV series, models of them obviously. And this month, you know, I've been doing a lot of reviews on models that I've got. And last Summer Wine was a long-running sitcom written by Roy Clark, and it ran from 1973 to 2010, and it had the world record, as far as I'm concerned it still does, for being the longest running sitcom. And Peter Sallis, who played Norman Clegg, he was in every single episode. And Peter Sallis, you know, was also the voice of Wallace in the Wallace and Gromit films as well. And also he did the voice of Rat in Wind in the Willows, and I always thought Wind in the Willows was a little bit like Last Summer Wine, but with animals, not people, as well. So a bit of a coincidence, I guess. So I've got two cars here, and obviously because they're both from the same show, I thought I might as well do a joint review on them both rather than do two individual ones, because I'll probably end up repeating myself. So first off, we've got Edie's Triumph Herald, and friends of mine who are very heavily into their classic cars and that, they actually had a blue Triumph Herald, but I think they sold it a few years ago. But say this is red, this one, and it belonged to Edie Pegden. There's actually a little figurine, a hand-painted model of her, and she was played by a very famous actress called Dame Herald. And again, I think the little figure is quite detailed, and the car itself is as well. And there isn't a registration plate on this one, but obviously if you watch all the different episodes, you notice that the registration plate was different. They probably had more than one model of the car. And obviously the long-running joke was that whenever Edie drove it, she drove it really badly. And she had all her friends in the car with her as well, and say she wasn't very good at driving. It was always quite funny to watch. Sort of reminds me of a teacher at school. Me and a friend, Luke, we saw him once, and we waved at him, and he waved back at us, and he lost control of his car. And that was quite hilarious to watch. But anyway, yeah, I think this is a very well detailed model, and it's nice that it comes with Edie. And Edie's husband was Wesley, and I've also got his Land Rover here, and it comes with a model of Compo, and Compo is played by Bill Owen, and in my opinion, I didn't think the show was the same after Compo left, but also one of the other members of the trio was Foggy, who was played by Brian Wilde, and he left before Bill Owen left, I would say before Bill Owen died. And in my opinion, when Foggy left, I didn't think the show was the same, but after Compo left, I certainly think the show wasn't the same. And, you know, when I was younger, I remember the newer episodes that from like the noughties and that were on the TV every single Sunday. And I guess one thing I did like about the show was that there was obviously a lot of famous actors that were in it, obviously the cast themselves, but at the same time, I do think a lot of the cast, a lot of them were pretty much famous before they ended up being cast in the show as well. And these models I brought recently when I went to a Steam fair. As you know, I go to the Elsbarton Steam Rally one every year. And I didn't buy these there, but I saw them there, and that was the first time that I was actually aware that they made these models. And before that, I didn't know that they made them. But when I went to somewhere last year, I saw them and I brought them, and they'd been reduced. One of them has the price tag on, but I actually got them for a bit less because I bought two of them. Bought a few other bits. I got them reduced. But again, obviously being on YouTube, you can pause and have a look, and the boxes on both models are exactly the same. There's no difference, just explains about the show. But I think it's nice as well, because if you look in the background on both boxes, it shows like the Yorkshire countryside and that as well, which I think is part of what helped make the show as well. It was filmed in Holmfirth in Yorkshire, and there's a church, and both Bill Owen and Peter Sallis are both buried next to each other there, which is quite interesting. But like I said, I've definitely preferred the older episodes to the newer ones that they made. And I think, you know, in the end, when the show ended, I think it was about time that it ended, to be honest with you. But I mean, if it's ever on the TV, I will always watch it, no matter who's actually in it. I still think it was entertaining to watch, and by standards of what's on TV today, you know, definitely worth a watch. Like I said, Dame Herald, who was a famous actress, she played Edie, and Gordon Warmby played Wesley Pegden, who was always tinkering around with his Land Rover and other cars and bits in his shed. And the registration plate on this model is the same as the one in the TV episode this is based upon. From what I can see, it's based upon the episode Give Us a Lift, where they put some wheels on an armchair. And that was from 1991, that episode. And the model they've used for the Land Rover is the same. Again, you know, I don't claim to be a car expert. You know, I don't know a huge amount about cars, but again, if you watch all the episodes, you'll notice that Wesley's Land Rover was a different type in each series. And see different models were used. But the one I've used here, I think, is very close to the one that was used in that episode. And like I said, the registration plate's the same as well. It's got this nice little figure of Compo, which is hand painted, and I think that looks nice. But I think it's a shame they didn't include Wesley with it, as obviously it is his Land Rover. And it's a shame really they didn't do other figures of the other cast members maybe as well. Although I'm glad they did Compo, because he was one of the main characters. And I think, if anyone ever mentions Last and Wine, I think Compo was the one that they always spoke about. And like I said, it was a sitcom that I enjoyed watching from time to time. And so definitely the older episodes as well. And I've actually started watching them again in the evenings now, recording them on TV, because obviously now you can record stuff on TV. I don't have any episodes on DVD, but like I said, I've got loads recorded on TV anyway. So that's 2 cars that have been Last Some Wine. And thank you very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye, and thank you very much for watching.